Hello and welcome everybody, my name is KevZFTV and today we are going to recap our first UGA Draft League season. The first regular season of the UGA, the world's biggest draft league in the Pokemon VGC format, has just ended 1 or 2 weeks ago, and we are in the first round of playoffs. The Hamburg Hydreigons actually achieved their goal to cut the top 6 in their division, in the Kalos division, with a final result of 6-4. We actually ranked number 5 in the Kalos division, which was a highly competitive one. Almost very close to a 7-3 as well. You will actually know what I'm speaking about if you have seen my last match. If you did not see that one yet, definitely make sure to check it out. It's in the upper right corner of the video right now, and it's also in the description of this video. If we have a look at the top 6 players of the Kalos division, we have the following ranking. Chulen and the Charging Charizards being first place, Relaxo and the Bully Blue Snorlax come in second. Third is Calopsia with the Norwegian Damanitans, Coach Silent and the Zapping Percursions at rank 4, me and the Hamburg Hydreigons in rank 5, the San Diego Sharpedos in rank 6. This means the playoff schedule actually looks like this. I am going to have a rematch against my week 8 opponent, Silent. You can see the original match linked in the upper right corner now, and it's also in the description down below. Definitely check it out. It was super intense and we actually won that match. Somehow I managed to sneak my way into the playoffs, and I kinda did that against all odds. After all the reschedules, all the dropouts, etc., I was set to face all of the top level players in the Kalos division. And I was pretty bummed when I saw some of the reschedules, and I was like, oh no, I have absolutely no chance to beat that player. Like with some of the matches that I initially had, I kind of felt like, okay, this should be winnable, both by player skill, but also especially by matchup. You know, I looked at the matchups and thought, okay, just team and Pokemon wise, this one should be manageable for me. And then some of those were just gone and replaced by ones where I felt like, okay, there's literally no way I've got a chance at winning this. And I actually won some of them, for example against Silent or against Funky. I almost won against Relaxo as well, which was more than astonishing for me. And yeah, I mean, Chulen just wiped the floor with me, but he was in my schedule originally as well, so that one doesn't count, I guess. And to be honest, in hindsight, my motivation got dragged down a lot, like a ton, by all the reschedules and also by private life circumstances and work and workload and being busy. However, I somehow pushed through and even managed to shut down, as I just said, some of the top players, and I'm really proud of that. I also got heavily trashed by some, as I explained, thanks Marcus, but I also managed to show that I'm very capable of going into a head-to-head race, at least with some of them. I feel it's about time to say a big thank you to everyone who helped me in the process and down the road, and to everyone who really believed that I still had a chance, even when it looked pretty grim and dark and very much as if I would not have a chance to hit playoffs at all. Yeah, honestly, R.EX, Calopsia, Chulen, also Silent. I guess you all know that you helped me on the road and that you helped me with team building, that getting back my motivation, for example, with R.EX himself said, no man, now it's our time to tackle the top players and start fighting our way into the playoffs. And somehow I did. And also thanks to everyone in the UGA, to every player, of course, that made the season as great as it was. I had some intense and exciting matches. I had some very fun matches. I met some extremely awesome and inspiring players like Glauber and Devin, for example. And in the end, there was literally no match where I said, okay, this is going to be an easy one. I'm just gonna win this. Every single coach that I faced was more than to be respected. They all had great teams and they all gave me a tough fight and a tough preparation time. So now to properly recap the season, let's do 2 things, actually 3. The first one we just ticked off. I spoke about my season and how I felt it and how it went for me. That one we got checked off the list. Next we are going to look at some team stats. And whoops, I should make it like this. So we looked at my team stats and so on. I will probably do some recap thingies and speak about some of the things that I learned in the process. And to round it off, I will make a small montage kind of thing of nice, epic, funny moments from my draft league matches. And I think this is going to be pretty awesome. I already looked into some of the cuts and edits and it's quite fun to watch these again. So looking at my team's stats, the first Pokemon we've got is Colossal. Colossal was my Gigantamax pick. The stats are pretty straightforward. We've got a 13, 6 and +7 in kill differential, which means Colossal made 13 kills, 6 deaths. That's pretty good, I would say. I kind of expected more from Colossal. I expected him to pick up more KOs, to deal more damage, but you also have to say that Colossal had a pretty rough season. Like, literally all my opponents were extremely well prepared for Colossal. If there was something in my team that everybody was more than over prepared for, it was Colossal. Taking that into account, I am still amazed that Colossal managed to go 13 and 6. That's actually pretty good. It had some really rough games where I didn't get to do anything with it, but it also had some pretty great games where it just wiped my opponent completely. This is also some of the things that I just had to learn during the league. Colossal is pretty great in a best of 3 format in general. It's pretty great in a best of 1 format especially. It is not so great in a draft league format because if your opponent has 11 Pokemon that potentially counter Colossal, then there's a whole lot of possibilities, a whole lot of different ways, and you cannot prepare for all of them. And because it's not all just the meta-based Pokemon, you can't even out-prepare your opponent in all occasions. However, I'm looking forward to give it some more screen time during playoffs, maybe in one of the upcoming matches. Let's see what my opponents actually have and what they might bring. I know that some of the opponents that I would potentially face, I did not bring Colossal against them initially. Some of them I brought Colossal against them initially. Sometimes I thought it was a mistake, sometimes I didn't. So we are in for a surprise of what I really do, and I'm not gonna tell you if you're watching this silent. This second one in the line is Dusclops. Dusclops finished with 8 kills and 7 KOs, ending up at +1, which is pretty much what I expected, I would say. It did get a whole lot more kills than I anticipated initially. Those were all basically tap-in kills in the end, where I just spammed Nightshade and then took off the last 50 HP or whatever. But this is also exactly what you want from your Dusclops. So it tanked a lot of hits, it died a lot, and it helped me through various games. In some games I did not get to enable it at all, but every time it was a threat. Every time it was something my opponent had to prepare for, and more often than not I got to use it pretty well, I would say. And it's also some of the Pokemon that I brought to almost all my matches, at least into preview. Then we have Gastrodon, and Gastrodon has had a phenomenal season. Like a phenomenal season. It went 13 kills, 8 deaths, ending up at +5, and I brought it to so many matches. I actually brought Gastrodon to the most matches in my whole season, and this kind of shows and highlights how capable of a Pokemon Gastrodon actually can be. And +5 definitely shows that this is not only a very defensive powerhouse, but also navigates well while being offensive if put in the right spotlight. You know, it does not deal the biggest damage, but it definitely helps at picking up KOs. It definitely helps at chunking your opponents down and staying on the field. I also have to say that there's just a lot of tools on my team to enable Gastrodon, and I'm really looking forward to do this even more during the playoffs and to show what kind of an awesome Pokemon Gastrodon can actually be. And overall, it just did a lot of great work for me. Especially it helped me to mitigate some of my glaring weaknesses, like the ground type weakness, the water type weakness that I have, and electric type and so on. So Gastrodon actually is a really good Pokemon for my team. Then we get to our first support Pokemon, which is Hitmontop, and those stats look a bit underwhelming, I have to say. It went 1 kill, 8 deaths, ending up at -7. I brought Hitmontop to 14 matches, so I also brought that one quite a lot. You don't have to stress the -7 too much here. You should really not do this. At the first glance, it looks as if this was a very weak season for Hitmontop. But to be honest, I just played it so much more as a support type Pokemon than an offensive type Pokemon or a defensive type Pokemon. There were just no kills to pick up for Hitmontop. It just supported with Intimidate, spam, Fake Out spam, Quick Guard, White Guard, and whatever, you know, I had all sorts of crazy techs with Hitmontop when I brought it, and especially the Fake Out Pressure and Intimidate, and sometimes even Technician, as I showed in my last match, were all pretty useful. So in the end, I'm personally not that surprised by -7, given the way how I navigated and played the Hitmontop. I think it's still good. I mean, I probably could have saved it a few more times, you know, instead of ending up at -7, maybe end up at -3 or 4 rather. But this is still reasonable in my opinion. Next support Pokemon on the list is Sneasel, and I think I almost never brought Sneasel. I brought it, like, let me look it up actually. I brought it to 4 matches. And this is, honestly, this is kind of underwhelming to me. Like, maybe I wasn't courageous enough to bring it to more games. I'm not even sure. But even if I brought it, it did not do much for me aside from enabling Colossal. And that's, I don't know, that I mean, of course Colossal is a core part of my team, but given that a lot of my opponents were super prepared for Colossal, this just often did not feel like the best option. So I kind of felt like it was not the most useful pick for me in the end. Although, you know, having such a good option for Colossal definitely was nice. It was a cheap pick, it can't be fake outed and so on, and it provides fake out pressure for me as well. It's pretty fast, so it's not the worst pick. It's definitely been good, and when I brought it, it was okay, but it just did not do as much as I expected it to do. And as I said before with Colossal, it's just had a rough time because, you know, so many opponents were prepared for it. There was not just too much room to properly play that one out. Rounding off my Fire Water Grass core, we've got Serena. Serena finished at -1 with total stats of 4 kills and 5 KOs. Serena is the first team member that I'm actually not happy with. Hitmontop and Gastrodon and Dusclops and Colossal, they were all great. Sneasel was okay, and Serena just straight out disappointed me. Actually, Serena had some great matchups, but I never actually got to fully enable her. There was at least one game in my UGA season where I would have said that Serena alone should have won the game for me. However, I kind of fucked up, you know, I didn't get to enable her fully, and the -1 kind of shows that I was not confident navigating her throughout the season. I brought her to about half of my games, and I would say she is super strong and awesome. She has great abilities, but as it was my first real time playing with Serena and trying to navigate her, I just did not find the right ways of doing so. The next on the list is actually our biggest surprise in the team, and that's Pinsir. Pinsir has had a great season, ending up at +6, 11 kills and 5 deaths. Not 15, I was about to say 15, it's 5. Like, honestly, Pinsir is such a strong T4 pick. It's the best T4 pick for me I could have imagined. 3 weeks ago or so, it almost single-handedly won the match against Silent, for example. So this alone proves how valuable Pinsir was. And Pinsir also was very, very valuable against Glauber and Devon, and against at least 1 or 2 other opponents. I don't exactly remember that, sorry for that. However, Pinsir has won me several games and swept some strong opponents and opposing Pokemon for me, and the +6 in the end kind of shows how strong it can be, and also how often I used it. I think I brought it to 8 or 9 or 10 matches or something like this, and this actually shows how happy I was with Pinzier. Already after the first weeks, like after the first or second time I brought Pinzier, I realized, wow, this is an actual powerhouse. This one is super strong. Now we are proceeding with something way more defensive, and that is Corviknight. Corviknight is one of our 2 extremely defensive Pokemon on the team. It ended at +2, if I'm not mistaken, with 8 kills and 6 KOs. I did not find as many ways as I wanted for it. I thought it would be more versatile in the end than it turned out to be. However, especially in the last week, has definitely shown how strong Corviknight can be in the right scenarios. As our second free pick, we've got Drampa. Drampa, the old man, definitely has had a good season when it came through. I did not bring it as often as I intended to. Unfortunately, it didn't always find a good fit in my team. Often the opposing teams just did not allow me to bring it. However, when I was bringing it, it was always pretty great, and I still think it's a pretty cool pick. And let's see if there's something more interesting and some more shenanigans that I can use Drampa for during playoffs. Then we got Boltund, and Boltund ended at -4 with 4 kills and 8 KOs. It's basically the same as Hitmontop. Boltund was one of my support Pokemon, and it provided great value to me. It has won me several games. For example, in week 1, it actually allowed me to come back after huge mistakes. No, I think that was week 2. Yeah, that was week 2 against the Sharpedos. I should have lost all the 3 matches, but thanks to Boltund, I actually managed to pull through. So Boltund definitely was a great pick for me, and I don't think that -4 is too bad. I think that's actually decent. Last but definitely not least, well, maybe actually least, we got Crawdon. I don't know. Crawdon is pretty great. It's a cool Pokemon. It has super strong attack potential. It's extremely offensive. It's fast on the Trick Room. But somehow this one just did not click for me. Maybe it was the matchups. I don't recall that too well. Maybe it was just me not feeling confident bringing it. Maybe it was something completely different. I brought it to only 6 matches. Not that I only bring it to just a very few matches. Also only ended up with 2 kills while it's being so offensive and so strong. And 3 deaths. And this is, seriously, this is hardcore underwhelming to me. Maybe it's going to be able to do some more for me during playoffs. I don't know, I really can't tell. I really hope to get some more light onto Crawdon, because when I planned out the draft, I had some really cool ideas focusing and revolving around Crawdon. However, they just didn't work so far, or did not have the opportunity to show them. But let's see. Maybe there's some time. That were all the stats of my team. So let's get right to the match recaps on what I have learned during the whole season. As I already stated, Colossal in a Draft League format is still awesome, but it's way less threatening than it seems. In the beginning, I got voted as the scariest team, and I immediately felt the pressure and felt like how everyone would go into hardcore preps in order to beat me, and I was like, I'm playing this game for 6 months, guys. Please don't humiliate me. Yeah, I think everybody was just afraid of Colossal, and probably rightfully so. I mean, at least it won both player cups so far. Anyways, I was honestly pretty surprised when the poll came through and I realized, oh, the majority of the league thinks that I've got the scariest team, and I was like, okay, what the fuck? Let's see. I hope I can put it to great use. Thanks, guys, I guess. I don't know what I'm doing here, but maybe having the scariest team wasn't too bad after all, because it definitely helped in pulling through into playoffs. Additionally, I would say there have been 2 very consistent fails that guided me throughout my whole UGA league. Almost through every single match, if not even every single match. The first one being timeouts. Yes, Marcus, I know you're laughing right now. And the second one actually was failure in preps. And not like, oh shit, I thought they would bring different Pokemon kind of failure, but Man, how stupid are you kind of failure. AV Gastrodon kind of failure. I think those of you who watched the video remember. Dynamax Colossal kind of failure, you know, those kind of things. And it's definitely something that I continuously do, and I need to be more careful with that. I realized that playing in the draft league is obviously not the same as playing during the ladder. If I play during the ladder, I do those mistakes all the time. Every single time I build a new team, there's fuck-ups like this. For example, in the last minute that I built the team and before I try to prepare the team, I switch one of the Pokemon to Assault Vest, and then I realize, oh, I forgot to actually change the moves after that. And then I play a game, probably lose that and see, oh fuck, let's just change it, it doesn't matter too much. Unfortunately, that does not work for the draft league. Now let's get to some more learnings. No matter how much you prepare, you'll always miss some details. Trick is dangerous. Preparing my moves and calcs is not sufficient. I also need to prepare calcs and moves for my opponent. Draft leagues actually take up a whole lot of time. Scheduling a match is not always easy. Do not prepare your Pokemon in the last minute. Do not play a match when you're super asleep. Expect the unexpected. Usage stats are often more useful than what seems actually good against your team. That's it for this video. The montage of my gameplay footage will come in a separate one because I do not want to make this one too long. I will upload it on Wednesday probably. Sunday is gonna be the day where I upload this video. Monday is the video of my team builder for the first playoffs round. Tuesday will be the match of the first playoffs round. Rounding all that off will be the montage of my whole regular UGA season. If you don't want to miss that out, make sure to subscribe to my channel and help me reach my 100 subscriber goal before the end of the year. There's actually some more days left. Do me a favor, share this video with your friends, like it, and help me to reach that milestone. Thanks for tuning in, and see you next time.